In the last lesson, we talked about solving simultaneous equations using the substitution method. That method works almost all the time. There is another method for solving simultaneous equations. It works mainly when all the equations given are linear. This means all the unknowns have a power of 1. You can't use the elimination method all the time, but I thought it would be good to let you know how to use this method because sometimes it would be easier to use it. So in this section, we'll be learning how to solve simultaneous equations using the elimination method. So let's get started. For many of us who had taken the PSLE in primary school in Singapore, you might be familiar with the elimination method. So maybe let's take a look at a common primary school question. This is a common primary school question. 3 pineapples and 4 watermelons cost $11, while 8 pineapples and 3 watermelons cost $14. Find the cost of a pineapple. To solve this question, we first write it out in mathematical statement. So in this, we write it this way. So you have 3 pineapples and 4 watermelons cost $11. 8 pineapples and 3 watermelons cost $14, and you need to find the cost of 1 pineapple. To do so, what you need to do is to make either the watermelon or the pineapples the same. Okay. So maybe I'll choose having the same number of watermelons. Okay, so to do so, what I'll do is I will multiply this first statement by 3 and multiply this second statement by 4. Okay, because 3 times 4 is 12 and 4 times 3 is 12. So then I'll have 12 watermelons for both equations. So I'll multiply the first statement by 3. So 3 pineapples will now become 9 pineapples because 3 times 3 is 9. 4 watermelons will now become 12 watermelons because 4 times 3 is 12. And $11 will now become $33 because 11 times 3 is 33. Similarly, I'll do the same for this portion. So I'll multiply everything by 4. So 8 times 4 will give 32, and 3 times 4 will give 12. 14 times 4 will give 56. So you notice in these two statements, you have the same number of watermelons. So when you have the same number of watermelons, you can subtract them away. All right, so we have the same number of watermelons now. We can subtract them away. So I like to put the bigger number on top so that it's easier for subtraction. So let's do it. So now I put 32 pineapples plus 12 watermelons equals to 56 at the top, and 9 pineapples and 12 watermelons equals 33 at the bottom. Next, I will subtract these two statements. Okay, so what I'll do the pineapples first. So take 32 minus 9 and I get 23. 12 minus 12 is 0, so no more watermelons. 56 minus 33 will give me 23. So I know 23 pineapples cost $23. So the cost of 1 pineapple would be $1. All right. So this is how we usually do it in primary school. We don't write it as simultaneous equations. We write it as pineapples and watermelons. But effectively, what we are doing is actually solving simultaneous equations using the elimination method. Okay, so now let's look at it in X and Y, and I'll show you how to solve it and present your answer. So in the first questions, you have 5x plus 2y equals to 3 and 3x plus 3y equals to 0. So let's label these two equations, equation 1 and equation 2. Okay, next what you need to do is select which unknown you want to make common. So you can make x the same or y the same. I prefer to make y the same because the coefficients of y are smaller. Okay. So you know there is 2y in the first statement and 3y in the second statement. So to make them the same, I just need to multiply the first statement by 3 and the second statement by 2. Alright, so you just take the coefficient of y in the first statement and multiply all the terms in the second statement by this coefficient. Same thing, take all the terms in the first statement multiplied by the coefficient of y in the second statement. Okay, so I will take the first statement multiplied by 3, which is the coefficient of y, and the second statement multiplied by 2, which is the coefficient of y. So once I do that, I get this. Okay, so statement 1 multiply by 3. So in other words, I need to multiply every single term in statement 1 by 3. So 5 times 3 gives 15. So I have 15x here. 2y times 3 is 6y. 3 times 3 is equals to 9. So when I multiply everything in the first statement by 3, I'll get 15x plus 6y equals 9. Next, I'll multiply the second statement by 2. So to multiply all the terms in the second statement by 2, you'll be 3x times 2, you'll get 6x. 3y times 2, you also get 6y. Okay, 0 times 2 is 0. So the second statement now becomes 6x plus 6y equals to 0. And let's label it equation 4. Now you notice both of them have the same number of y, which is 6y. Next, if you have to look at the sign in front of y, they are both plus. Okay, to get rid of the y, to get rid of 6y when both of them have the same sign, you will subtract. Okay, so I'm going to take statement 3 minus statement 4. Okay, so when I take statement 3 minus statement 4, so I'll take 15x minus 6x, and that would be 9x. I'll take 6y minus 6y, that will give me 0. Okay, so I don't write anything because it's just 0. 9 minus 0 gives 9, so 9x is equals to 9. Okay, to find x, I divide both terms by 9 and I'll get x equals to 1. Once I found x equals to 1, I can sub x equals to 1 into either equation 1 or equation 2. So I'll choose equation 1. So I'll put x equals to 1 into equation 1. Okay, and I will solve for y. And I'll get the answer equals to 1, y equals to minus 1. So to recap how to solve simultaneous equations by elimination. Step 1, decide which unknown you want to make common. Okay, you can choose x or you can choose y. Okay, I chose y because y has a smaller coefficient compared to x. Okay, because 2 and 3 is smaller than 5 and 3, right? So it's easier to make this the same. So next, for the first statement, I'm going to multiply all the terms by the coefficient of y in the second statement. So I'm going to multiply every term in equation 1 by 3. Okay. Then for the second statement, I'm going to multiply it by the coefficient of y in the first statement. Okay, so I'm going to multiply every term in statement 2 by 2. Okay, so once I've multiplied them by these numbers, I need to get rid of y. So if these two statements of y have the same sign, which is plus, I will subtract them. Okay, so that is why I take equation 3 minus equation 4. Okay, once I subtract these two statements, I will only be left with one unknown. So in this case, I'm only left with x. So I can solve for x first. Once you have solved for x, substitute x back to any of the equations. okay, and solve for y. All right, let's try another question. So this is the second question. So in this question, I want to make y the same. So I will, okay, the coefficient of y in the second statement is 3. So I'll multiply everything in the first statement by 3. The coefficient of y in the first statement is 2. So I'll multiply every term in the second statement by 2. Okay, so you can look at it as if here is 2, I'll multiply the other term by 2. Since the coefficient of y is 3 here, I'll multiply every term in the first equation by 3. So once you've done the multiplication, this is what you get. Okay, now you notice in statement 3, you have plus 6y. And in statement 4, you have minus 6y. Okay, they have different signs. Okay, so to get rid of y, you just need to add statement 3 to statement 4 because 6y minus 6y equals 0. Okay, so I'm going to add it. So just remember, if the unknown that you want to get rid of has opposite signs, then you'll just add the two statements up. So because this is plus 6y and this is minus 6y, I'm going to add these two statements together. So I'm going to add 3 to statement 4. So 15x plus 4x is 19x. 6y plus minus 6y is 0y. So I don't need to write anything for y here. Okay. 3 plus 16 is 19. Okay, so that is how I get this. Okay, then to solve for x, I just divide everything by 19. I'll get x equals to 1. So once you have found x, to solve for y, you'll just substitute x equals to 1 into any of the equation that you like. I choose equation 1. So I sub x equals to 1 into equation 1. And from there, I get the value of y. So for this question, you should get the answer x equals to 1 and y equals to minus 2. All right, so that is how you solve a question or simultaneous equation using the elimination method. You will need to eliminate one unknown. So to eliminate one of the unknown, what you need to do is to multiply each statement by a number such that you can have both unknowns being the same in both statements. So for this case, you have both statement 3 and 4 having 6y. Okay. Next, check the sign of y. This is plus 6y. This is minus 6y. They have opposite signs. So when you have opposite signs, you add the statements up. Okay, so when you add the statements, 6y minus 6y will be equal to 0y. You get rid of y. So you're only left with x. Okay, and once you only have x, you can solve for x. Okay, once you found x, sub x into any of the equations to find y. Okay, that's how you solve by elimination method. I leave it to you whether you want to learn this method or not. Okay, because the substitution method which you learned in the previous lesson is sufficient to solve all simultaneous equations. All right, that's all for simultaneous equations. In the next lesson, we'll be learning on quadratic equations. So I'll see you.